Here I am after so many years, hounded by hatred and trapped by fear. I'm in a box. I've got no place to go. If I follow my mind, I know I'll slaughter my own. Help me, I'm the prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? I need somebody, yeah, to listen to me. I beg you, brothers and sisters, I'm counting on you, yeah. Black babies in the womb, shackled and bound, chained by the caveman, keeps beauty down, smacked on the ass when they are squalling and wet. And to us mindless man who never forgets, never forgets that he's a prisoner. Can't you hear my plea? 'Cause I need somebody, Lord knows, to listen to me. I'm a stranger to my son who wonders why his daddy runs, yeah. Peace and love. Welcome again to the NEPPC podcast. I'm Brother Frank, and I'm with former political prisoner
Abdul Haq Islam.
Today's episode, we focus on Juneteenth and its relationship to political prisoners. Prior to us going into our discussion for today, we'd like to talk about political prisoners update, because it's very important that we stay in tune with what's going on with our brothers behind the wall and letting them know that their concerns are our concerns, and their families' concerns are our concerns, because they are our family. And so, with that being said, I just got informed about Baraz Abawa's situation. The lockdown has been slightly uplifted. He's able to make phone calls and let people know what's going on. A number of his letters were confiscated, and he was not able to get back all the addresses of the people who had wrote to him. So I've been informed to tell those who wrote to him to write back. There had been somebody in Queensbridge who did receive their letter from him, and he relayed the message to me and my brother Sugar Ray out of Queensbridge about not being able to write back because of him not being able to get back those addresses. So we're going to write back to him, and we're going to continue to build that relationship, because we can't be discouraged by the actions of the state. So Varon's is still strong in his spirit, and he sends everybody his love and appreciation. So let us continue to stay in contact with our political prisoners. Abdul Haq Islam on the brother.
Yeah, peace and love on update. Imam Jamil Alameen has very, very strong grounds for appeal, and I want to share this information with the people so they can put some pressure on the state to let this innocent brother free. When I was staying in Atlanta, attending Imam Jamil's trial, I graffitied the entire city with Imam Jamil is innocent. The whole city, I graffitied it with that. And indeed he is innocent. Ground for his appeal now is the fact that Otis Jackson has admitted that he was the shooter in the case. The Fulton County Integrity Unit has interviewed him, and they also looked at the wounds on his body that are consistent with the police officer saying that he shot the shooter. The case has been taken up by the Innocence Project, and also the investigation. The Fulton County DA is playing a role, a leadership role in the investigation. So, that is very encouraging that the DA themselves would be involved, in this. So we need the political pressure from the people to set our brother free. This is a brother, a very, very strong brother who helped many, many individuals, from the lumpen proletariat to come out of some of their habits, their ways of life, glorifying material things, a criminal lifestyle, being slaves to lower desires, sex and drugs and all this type of stuff. Imam Jamil, at the prayer called Fajr in the morning, it would be just as crowded as the prayer called Juma prayer, when you have to struggle to get up at 4:30, 5:30 in the morning. You understand? To get out of the control of your lower desires, out of your control of the shaitan, to jump up. You understand? And make that prayer. And many people under Imam Jamil's spiritual guidance and influence, had the spiritual power to get up for Fajr, and crowd the masjid. You understand? And like I say, very, very powerful, innocent evidence that the brother is innocent and must be free. Juneteenth, Brother Frank wrote that there is a difference between a celebration and a commemoration. In a celebration, it's like a party. Get down, get drunk, sometime act a fool, but a commemoration, you get historical lessons. You get an essence, and Juneteenth, part of the great historical essence of Juneteenth is glory. The glory of African soldiers, of black soldiers fighting, you understand, with intense warrior spirit, indomitable courage, you understand, a will that cannot be suppressed, standing up against a force that was seen as much greater than them, a force that has gone around the world, you understand, committing some of the worst atrocities imaginable, 500 million murders in order to build wealth and empire. These were soldiers that stood up, against all this worldly power. And the parallel between them and our freedom fighters is that our political prisoners were also liberators who stood up, for the self-defense of black people, for the advancement, to bring us out of the shackles of slavery and oppression, you understand, and terrorism, because the system, the violence of the system is designed, you understand, to make you bow down, you understand, as we bow down in prayer, like the enemy is God, it's a system designed to make, to want you to prostrate, you understand, to something which is, seen as superior to white supremacy, you understand, and this is what we fought against, you understand, and Juneteenth commemorates the victory of the Civil War, you understand, and as we commemorate Juneteenth, we learn more and more evidence, more and more information about this historical date. One thing I learned just a couple of days ago, that Abe Lincoln wrote a letter saying that the North was losing the war. The only way that the North could sustain itself and win the war was to arm the black slaves. You understand? About 5 years before that, they had taken guns out of the hands of the black people, so that the white supremacists would have all the guns, and that we would be weaponless. You understand? And therefore oppressed, and kept in a state of slavery. But Abe Lincoln and I said that we must arm the black slaves because the North was losing the war. Indeed, it was the black slaves, you understand, armed black men with guns in their hand that won the war. And they tried to keep that secret. They tried to keep that information away from black people because they still wanted to get some free labor out of it. They didn't want us to know that the war was over and the slavery was over. And finally, the black people in Galveston, Texas, got the information. You understand, and that is the date of Juneteenth. So it is very, very important that we understand and teach what it's all about. You understand? There was an incident that happened on this Juneteenth weekend, which should stimulate that teaching, which should stimulate the organizers and teachers in the black community to really teach hard about the real essence of Juneteenth. In various cities around America, there were 12 murders and 100 people wounded on Juneteenth, and this should stimulate us that, the Juneteenth is not the 4th of July. The 4th of July is usually the day that our people get out in the street and act a fool, celebrating a lie and kill one another and wound one another, and get drunk. You understand? That's usually the day that they do that type of stuff. So this is not the 4th of July. This is a date that celebrates the freedom and liberation of our people. And we must, in that essence, understanding that essence, we must celebrate and commemorate and fight for the freedom of our liberators, of our political prisoners who fought for our freedom. And in fact, the so-called powers that be, they said that they rather deal with those mild-mannered folks who was talking about civil rights than to deal with the militants, and played that, and the militant black man, played a very, very important role in everything that we have had, the limited and degree of progress that we made in this country. You understand? The militant people, the warriors, you understand, they played a very, very fundamental role in all that, Black Power.
Right. Very sharply said and appreciated. Because when we talk about our liberation struggle, we talk about our self-determination, we talk about people who made commitments to moving us forward. That's why in our introduction, we put up the story of JoJo Bowen.
Mm-hmm.
We want you all to check it out. There's a number of resources.
Keep on talking.
There's another
brother. That's another brother who stood up against great odds. You understand?
Absolutely.
And in the spirit, you understand, of our liberation fighters.
So JoJo Bowen, he's serving a number of years. They give him life, and he was very committed to the advancement of his people, against great odds, and he knew how far he had to take it. And we can't be afraid of these type of heroes, because these are combatants, these are warriors, and they're fighting for our liberation. Our incarceration, our oppression is not pretty. Our liberation will not be pretty. And there's extremes that we have to go to have our justice served, our liberation met. And these extreme sacrifices. And our political prisoners understand that, and they're willing to make those commitments and those sacrifices. So we can't ignore them. We have to write to them. I gave a number of resources of organizations that are doing this work. You can get in contact with these organizations to get further updates on political prisoners, because that's one of the adjustments that we're making on this show, is to start off by giving you updates on political prisoners. Ed Poindexter, I still haven't received any current update as I had last time when they was trying to deal with his situation with his leg, because he had part of his leg amputated, and now he's in a situation where he can't move around the way he once did, and that's inhumane, right? Regardless of what somebody's incarcerated for, they still are a human being, and they still need to be treated or dealt with in humane conditions. And the only way that can happen is that the state receives pressure from common people, working class people like you and I, who are taxpayers, and our taxpaying dollars are used to incarcerate so-called criminals. But our freedom fighter like JoJo Bowen, like Ed Poindexter, like many others, we cannot forget about them, Joy Powell, and so many more. We need to make time to discuss their sacrifices. And while we celebrate, or rather commemorate, that's right, we have to correct that position. We have to commemorate our historical victories or our places in history, because Juneteenth is still not over. It's still a struggle to be free. We're still not yet free. So we have to understand that, and we have to further commit ourselves to the roles that we need to play to make freedom possible. And that's why our political presence is so important. And when we talk about Juneteenth, we talk about us people of African descent having this moment in history where a certain type of arrangement with the state has changed. That came through the sacrifices and commitment of political prisoners back then, and it relates to political prisoners right now because the same level of commitment is sacrifice is needed. There's people who are willing to do the work, willing to go to meetings, willing to give out some leaflets, willing to read, willing to give out and to give lectures and to write books. And those are all necessary. There's musicians that compose great songs like Liz Wright, that song Freedom. It's a beautiful, very powerful, very inspirational song. Those are all needed, and I would never undermine or reduce somebody's commitment to our liberation struggle. But the political prisoners, they are most needed because they remind the state of how serious this matter of people being denied certain things that they have no business being denied, being deprived of certain things that they should not be deprived of. And these political prisoners are freedom fighters. They're willing to pull it all on the line to make that happen and to let the state know that, the people that they love will not be treated any way. The people that they love will be protected because love is not passive, it is active. You have to get busy. You have to use it as what it is, rather apply it to your life as the way it should be applied, because it's a verb, it's an action word, it's something that you do not say, as Matulu said. So we have to understand that the political prisoner embodies that. So when we talk about Juneteenth, it's very important that we look at it from a position that this happened and this victory or this moment in time that put us in a position to get that ultimate goal, that ultimate victory of freedom came through sacrifices and commitment. So when we have these commemorations of Juneteenth, make sure we recognize our political prisoners' position in that, recognize their love for us, recognize the lessons that they taught us. Because when we deal with commemoration, we're dealing with lessons that we need to learn, inspirations that we gain to continue this struggle. Because some of us get tired, all of us get tired, right? You take a breath, you take a few minutes to get yourself back, but then you come out fighting harder. You give it all you have, you put it all on the line. So our political prison needs to be discussed, need to be recognized, need to do what we need to do to get the job done to bring them home. For those of you who happen to be in Brooklyn, New York, from the days of July 1st to July 4th, it'll be the International African Arts Festival. We'll be having a table. So come on, by our table, have a discussion with us, purchase what we have available to purchase. The information you can find, just go online, International African Arts Festival. Contact me.
Commodore Berry Park, that's on Flushing Avenue, near the Navy Yard. Commodore Berry Park, that's where the African Arts Festival is. Excuse me, go ahead.
No, that's right. That's what this is about. This is about discussion, right? We put up this podcast so we can exchange ideas and we sharpen our understanding on ideas. And sometimes we make some errors and some mistakes, but then we come back and we keep moving. We keep moving harder to produce the top quality product. So we encourage those who are listening to subscribe to the YouTube channel. We currently have 211 subscribers. We want to increase that subscription because we know with the increase of subscription, that amplifies our voice further, and that lets political prisoners be heard any and everywhere where our podcast is accessible. You can also check us out on at Spotify, and I think that this very important episode because a lot of times when people think about Juneteenth, they view it as a day off, a day not to go to work. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's other work that needs to take place. Just because you're not going to the routine job that you held for so many years doesn't mean that you don't have no work to do as a person of African descent, as a person that's been oppressed for so long, that you have to do the necessary work to understand what's at stake, to understand why this moment in time is so important, because the arrangement of things have been changed at one level and it has to be changed at another level for all of us to be the recipients of something that's definitely beneficial for us long term. Because we're not only doing this for us, we're doing this for the future generations. Because You look at people talk about a generation curse have been passed down, or a generation misfortune has been passed down. But we say that there must be a generation of organizers. We need to pass that on to another generation. That's why I document what the work that you're doing that's in the interest of the collective. So another generation know what they need to do and get it done. Because if we don't do that, then this next generation is going to inherit our problems. They're going to wonder why they have so much to deal with. What was the generation prior doing? And that's why we discuss political prisons now, because until we're completely free, until we are in a position to acquire state power, there's going to be political prisoners on our side, because our political prisoners are struggling for power for us, because power dictates what's going to happen to you on an everyday basis. And power is the only way that you can control your destiny. So our political prisoners did that. They fought hard. They fought day in, day night, blood, sweat, and tears. The least we can do is make time to write them. The least we can do is to make time to talk about them, evaluate their cases, educate ourselves on what happened, what their case is, at least communicate with people who are actively involved in their case, these defense committees, these community activists, people who will bring the idea of political prisoners to a community and let a community know that you can do something, you can stand up, you can fight back. You cannot ignore injustice by ignoring the concerns of political prisoners, or just ignoring the fact that political prisoners exist. So, Juneteenth has been recognized. Some incredible work has been done. And I think there's been a role played in its commemoration events and programs, because that's what it should be. If you're doing a celebration, you want to tweak that. You want to get it into a commemoration. You want to make the distinction between celebration and commemoration. So I do how Islam, when I introduce you, I always say former political prisoner, right? I always want the audience to understand that you were behind the walls for a cause. At this moment in time, when we talk about the struggle to commemorate Juneteenth, let's take a brief turn, right, or direction rather, into talking about your defense committee. If you had any defense committees, what was some of the methods and tactics that they used to raise awareness about you, and how could that be utilized today when we talk about political prisons?
Well, one thing, folks put my picture everywhere in the street. They had programs, uh, um, you know, um, free Abdul Haq programs, which I really, really appreciated. Letter writing campaigns, you know, um, and this was a consistent thing that was happening, while I was incarcerated, and I'm very, very grateful, to those, particularly, among the December 12th movement, who put my name out there, put my case out there, the information in my case, and this is something that all our political prisoners need, because they are very, very valuable to our struggle. As a lot of us know who have studied history, we know that the role that the enemy used in fear and intimidating, you understand, to make you feel that you're small like an ant to be stepped on, you understand? But when we gather our forces together and organize, you understand, and when that warrior spirit grows, when that heart grows large, you understand, then we feel our power. We become very, very confident, and we know indeed that we can win. And this is what our political prisoners are all about, in the spirit of those black slaves who took guns and ended slavery. You understand? That is what ended slavery. Turning the other cheek did not end slavery. You dig? When you turn the other cheek, you understand, your enemy will tell you to turn around, and there's some more cheeks that he wants to pat on and might even sodomize a lane. You understand what I'm saying? So it ain't to turn the other cheek. It's not nothing that we can say has any political value at all. We won, you understand, through struggle, through fighting, you understand, and that fight needs to be in our blood, in our brains, you understand, and we have incarcerated generalship, you understand, that has that fight in it, that has that heart, that integrity, that tremendous love for the people. Love is powerful as any atomic bomb that when it lands, it spreads joy and peace. Usually, atomic bomb, when it lands, everything is gone. But when that power, when that power lands, you understand, in the hood, you understand, it make everything good, So they must be free, fight for their freedom, you understand, stand up, make this a powerful movement, you understand, the movement to free all political prisoners and prisoners of war must become a very, very powerful movement among black people. Because if it ain't, you understand, that's suicide. That's self-destruction. Not to support those who fought for your self-defense to save your life, to save the lives of you and your family and your babies. Not to stand up and fight for them is suicide. So we say, what is the call? Free them all.
Yes, powerful words. We're getting close to the end of this episode, but I just want to take some time to just shout out to an anonymous contributor to me and us, rather, the NEPPC, and that money is going to definitely be donated to our cause, and we are very appreciative of your contributions, because we know that people work hard for their money, so they should be respected when they make that donation. So we just want to say thank you. I don't want to put your name out there because you just gave me the money without saying why you were giving me the money. So maybe you just want to be anonymous, and I appreciate that. So donate at Cash App, Shafus and Kofa. When you donate, just maybe let me know what you want done with the money, if you want to let me know at all. But again, if you want to give anonymously, I respect that. I just always like to have that dialogue with somebody. So when you give me some money, I'll let you know what's going to be done. I can send you a photo of what's been being done with it, or what's in the process, the plan, rather to be done with it, because I can talk about it on this podcast. Because one of the things that we have to do is, we have to pay for transportation to get to this location, and there's other things that come along with it, and because people are taking time out of their day to get something done, so it's definitely not something that come without expenses. Because sometimes we don't see the expenses, but they are always there. But regardless of whether we have to do it out of our own pocket and we don't get compensated for it, it's going to be done, because we realize we have a moral debt to pay to our political prisoners, because they sacrifice so much. We wouldn't have an 8-hour workday without the sacrifices of political prisoners.
Right.
We wouldn't have any type of so-called privileges or
the child labor, all that. Yeah.
That came from
Very, very
sacrifices.
oppressive conditions.
Exactly.
Conditions, yeah.
We think our conditions are bad now. They'll be a lot worse without political prisoners. Mm-hmm. So let us understand that. Let us give them just due, and let us continue to fight to bring them home. We say write to a political prisoner. We have the information to contact. If you don't see it, the information on the screen, contact me at 347-679-3936. Just write me a letter, or write me a text, rather, about who you want information to contact regarding writing to a letter.
Writing to a prisoner.
Writing to a political prisoner. Excuse me. All right, so that concludes this episode. Brother, you have any closing remarks before we shut it down until next week?
Just something brief, love, that's all, to share some love, the political prisoners showed and participated in the greatest acts of love for you, you understand? They sent their love to you, and so send some love back, and let that be the word, let that be the vibe, you understand? And when we come together as a people and love one another, indeed we will be free. Love is power. Okay, there's a very great connection between love and power. We talk about black power. Black power is built on black love. All right, so what it's called, free 'em all.
Peace and love. Don't let political prisoners die in prison.